The rain poured relentlessly, drumming upon the earth with a relentless cadence. Above, the sky churned with dark, ominous clouds, stretching endlessly into the horizon. From afar, the towering mountains seemed to merge into a single mass of somber black hues. The storm's shroud of rain interlaced heaven and earth, forming a singular, veiled tapestry. Crack! A blinding flash of lightning cleaved the heavens, illuminating the storm for but a fleeting moment before vanishing into the abyss. The final rains of spring carried the fervent heat of summer, foreshadowing the change of seasons. On the verdant slopes of Qingmao Mountain, vast groves of emerald bamboo stood tall and unyielding. The bamboo trunks, straight as spears, defied the battering winds and rain, their tips pointing resolutely to the heavens. In the heart of the mountain lay Gu Yue Village. Countless elevated stilt houses, built to withstand the elements, stood clustered together, braving the relentless rain. Outside the village, a merchant caravan prepared to set forth once more. Watch your step on the muddy path. Keep the caravan tight, don't let anyone fall behind. And handle the Gu insects carefully. Especially the fat beetles, don't let them wander off. If any goods go missing, I'll have you to answer for it. The caravan buzzed with the shouts of its members as it began its journey down the rugged mountain trail. They had spent 3 days in Gu Yue Village and were now setting off toward their next destination. The rain washed over everything, turning the world into a drenched expanse of stone and mud. The village paths, paved with cobblestones, were relatively manageable, but the trails beyond were narrow, slippery, and riddled with patches of thick mud. Even the proud rooster-like chickens of the mountains had their heads lowered, their once vibrant feathers now soggy and plastered together. Fat beetles lumbered forward with painstaking slowness, rain forming rivulets on their armored black shells before dripping onto the muddy ground. A furry mountain spider, usually imposing, now seemed pitiful as its soaked hair clung to its body. Yet, the toad Gu reveled in the rain, leaping joyfully among the muddy paths alongside the caravan. To protect their precious cargo, the Gu masters displayed their unique abilities. Perched atop the colossal fat beetles, some Gu masters raised their hands, summoning a shimmering golden shield. This was the One Qi Golden Light Gu, which, when infused with their primeval essence, formed a half-dome barrier that shielded the cargo from the downpour. The rain splattered harmlessly against the barrier, sliding off like water on an umbrella. But sustaining the shield came at a cost. I can't hold it any longer. Someone take over, one Gu master called out, sweat dripping down their face. I'll handle it, another stepped forward, seamlessly replacing their exhausted companion. Others relied on simpler methods, like the green thread Gu, which caused their hair to grow unnaturally long and intertwine, forming a temporary raincoat-like covering. Meanwhile, those with the water silk Gu encased themselves in a thin, flowing layer of water, which repelled the rain effortlessly. However, the ordinary mortal martial artists in the caravan were not as fortunate. Draped in rain-soaked cloaks, they trudged through the mud, shivering and cursing under their breath. For them, the harsh mountain conditions were unforgiving. A single slip or illness could spell doom. As the caravan had no room for the weak or slow. As the caravan wound its way through the treacherous terrain, the villagers of Gu Yue watched from the gates. Some waved farewell, while others stood in silence, their expressions laced with concern. See you next year, a child's voice called out, filled with innocence and longing. The adults, however, wore more somber expressions. Will they return next year? And if they do, how many of them will still be alive? The merchant caravan slowly disappeared into the dense forest, leaving behind only muddy tracks and scattered remnants of their brief stay. Far above, on a secluded hill, a lone figure stood under a modest oil-paper umbrella. It was Fang Yuan, dressed in plain linen clothes. His frail yet sharp figure exuded an air of quiet contemplation. His pale face and short, tidy black hair marked him as no different from an ordinary teenager. But the glint in his eyes betrayed an indomitable will. He gazed at the departing caravan, murmuring to himself, "What perfect weather!" Where others cursed the rain, Fang Yuan welcomed it. The storm washed away traces of last night's deed, the murder of Gu Jinsheng. He had meticulously disposed of the evidence. Yet the rain was a fortuitous ally. cleansing the lingering scent of blood and obscuring the scene further. Soon enough, they'll realize Gu Jinsheng is missing, he thought. When they do, Gu Fu will surely return to investigate. That's when the real challenge begins. Fang Yuan's eyes narrowed as he pondered his next move. For now, he would lay low, nurturing his strength in secret. The road ahead was fraught with danger. But in his heart, Fang Yuan relished the game. The rain fell unyieldingly, a heavy curtain over the mountains. Amidst the downpour, Fang Yuan's figure stood firm. His expression was inscrutable as he whispered to himself. The world is full of unexpected twists. But isn't that what makes it so interesting? The torrential rain finally ceased after 4 consecutive days. The sun ascended into the sky, lifting the heavy curtain of rain as if heralding the arrival of summer. A faint sense of summer's heat permeated the air, mingling with the lingering freshness of spring. The weather became brighter and warmer, shedding the melancholic aura of spring. Across Qingmao Mountain, the vibrant greenery flourished. The bamboo forests, characteristic of the mountain, grew visibly taller each day, their verdant hue deepening into a darker green. Above the clear skies, the heavens were an endless expanse of pure blue, as tranquil as a still lake. A clash on the martial field. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of fists meeting flesh echoed across the training ground as students sparred. On the central platform, Fang Yuan and Gu Mo Bei exchanged a flurry of blows. After a dozen swift moves, Fang Yuan landed a decisive kick to Mo Bei's abdomen, sending him staggering back several steps until he tumbled out of the designated ring. The instructor immediately stepped forward, declaring, "Gu Mo Bei has been pushed out of bounds. Fang Yuan wins again. This marks 33 consecutive victories. HMPH. Another loss to you." Mo Bei spat bitterly, his face twisted in frustration as he glared at Fang Yuan. "But don't get too full of yourself. The day I defeat you is drawing closer." Fang Yuan's expression remained indifferent as he glanced at his opponent. His voice was cold and measured. "That kick caused internal injuries. You should focus on healing first before dreaming of revenge." "Internal injuries? Ha, it's nothing," Mo Bei scoffed, but his bravado quickly faded as he coughed violently, spitting out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale, and fear flickered in his eyes. This was the first time he had suffered such a serious wound in a sparring match. The instructor hurried over, placing a steadying hand on Mo Bei's shoulder. "Don't worry. With proper treatment and a few days of rest, you'll recover, but refrain from intense activities for now." 2 GU masters specializing in healing rushed forward, carefully escorting Mo Bei off the platform. He shot one last glance at Fang Yuan, filled with anger, frustration, and deep resentment, before being carried away. The spectators murmured among themselves. Mo Bei's techniques are strong, but even he couldn't defeat Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan is unstoppable. Who could possibly beat him? He even made Mo Bei cough blood. That's terrifying. I don't want to face him in the ring. But the instructor said everyone must fight today. We can't avoid it. The students, standing just outside the ring, were a mix of awe and fear. Many bore visible injuries, bruised faces, arms clutched in pain, or legs that needed massaging after their bouts. Next, the instructor called out, but his command was met with silence. The usual challengers, Gu Mo Bei, Gu Cheng, and Gu Fang Zheng, had all been defeated. The remaining students exchanged uneasy glances, some even stepping back. The instructor frowned deeply. He recalled the words of the elder who had entrusted him with training the students. Fang Yuan's dominance must be tempered. His unrelenting victories are crushing the morale of the other students. If this continues, their fighting spirit will be extinguished. We must nurture warriors capable of standing against any foe, not lambs who cower at the sight of a wolf. Are you all cowards? The instructor barked. Fang Yuan is strong. Yes, but he's only 15, just like you. He eats the same food, drinks the same water, and doesn't have 3 heads or 6 arms. Muster your courage and prove the pride of the Gu clan. Despite his rallying cry, the students muttered amongst themselves. But he's too strong. We can't beat him. Mo Bei even coughed up blood. I'm not risking that. His attacks are getting more brutal. We're scared. Instructor. The instructor clenched his fists in frustration. He could see the truth of the matter. Fang Yuan had fought 33 matches back-to-back without a break. Though he appeared calm, his breaths were growing heavier, and his strikes had become increasingly forceful, a sign of exhaustion. If the students rallied and pushed him harder, they might actually defeat him. But fear paralyzed them. It wasn't Fang Yuan's strength alone that intimidated them. It was the aura of invincibility he exuded. Fang Yuan stood in the center of the ring, watching the drama unfold with cold detachment. His hands were clasped behind his back, and his expression was unreadable. Though he maintained an air of calm, his body trembled faintly beneath his robes. My strength is nearly depleted, he thought. At 15, his physical endurance was still limited, and he lacked Gu worms to enhance his stamina. 33 consecutive matches had pushed him to the brink. Yet he had continued fighting, not for the 20 primeval stones offered as a reward, but to maintain his image as an unassailable force. If he faltered now, the students would pounce on his perceived weakness. His control over them, built through fear, would crumble. Enough. The instructor's voice broke through the tension. The next match begins now. There's a reward of 20 primeval stones for the top spot. Don't you want it? The students hesitated for only a moment before two boys leapt onto the stage. Eager to fight. I'll go. Me too. The training resumed, but murmurs spread among the crowd. I should have waited too. No need to fight Fang Yuan directly. Who would have thought he'd step down? Strange, isn't it? He's bold, even ignoring the instructor's warnings. But what could they do to him? The instructor ground his teeth, glancing at Fang Yuan. His frustration mounted as he realized he could do nothing. Fang Yuan's departure from the stage was within the rules. Fang Yuan, meanwhile, stood on the sidelines, observing with a faint smirk. Such crude tactics, he mused. The instructor's attempts at manipulation are almost endearing. He adjusted his breathing, suppressing the faint tremor in his limbs. Beneath his calm exterior, fatigue weighed heavily. Dominance isn't eternal, he thought, but fear can last longer. Let them think I've chosen to leave at my peak. Their imaginations will do the rest. As the matches continued, Fang Yuan's cold calculation remained. Each move he made, each word he uttered, was a step toward the long game he played. A game where victory wasn't merely about winning battles but controlling the very battlefield itself from the third-floor window of the academy building. The elder of the learning hall gazed silently upon the sparring ground below. His sharp, discerning eyes missed no detail, capturing every movement, every emotion that transpired among the students. When Fang Yuan stepped down from the platform voluntarily, the elder's brows furrowed deeply. This boy, he murmured, an unfamiliar unease settling in his chest. He's slippery, meticulously aware of every rule and careful never to break them. Though he often sleeps through lessons, whenever called upon, he answers flawlessly. No loopholes, no mistakes. It's proving difficult to find a way to suppress him. Despite his experience and impartiality cultivated over decades, the elder felt a faint dislike for Fang Yuan blooming in his heart. As an elder and mentor, he naturally favored obedient, diligent students. Fang Yuan, with his aloof defiance, his cunning intelligence, and his disregard for hierarchy, was the exact opposite of what the elder valued. Fang Yuan did not merely bend the rules, he danced within their confines. Always one step ahead of reprimand. This faint dislike unsettled the elder. Over the years, he had prided himself on his ability to remain impartial, treating even the most mischievous students with patience and understanding. Why, then, did this one boy invoke such a strong reaction? After pondering for a moment, the elder realized the truth. Fang Yuan harbored arrogance, not the reckless bravado typical of youth but a quiet, unshakable confidence. Unlike other students who defied authority with emotion, be it anger, frustration, or rebellion, Fang Yuan's demeanor remained calm and detached. He did not lash out in frustration, he did not act out of fear. Instead, his indifference to the instructor's scolding and his composed retreat from the sparring ground sent a clear message. He simply didn't care. A dangerous indifference. Most students act out because of insecurity. The elder reflected, even when they rebel, their defiance is driven by fear, a fear of failure, punishment, or losing face. But Fang Yuan, he feels nothing. The boy's expressionless face, the way he walked off the platform without a hint of regret or anger, It all revealed his true nature. To Fang Yuan, defying authority was a trivial matter. He does not fear us, the elder thought grimly, and that makes him dangerous. For the elder, fear and respect were tools to guide and control the students, ensuring their loyalty to the clan. But Fang Yuan's lack of fear made him untouchable. Without fear, how could the clan mold him into a tool for their ambitions? How could they ensure his obedience and loyalty? This kind of mindset cannot be allowed to take root. The elder resolved, if left unchecked, Fang Yuan's indifference will spread, planting seeds of rebellion in others. Soon, no student will respect their instructors, and the learning hall will fall into chaos. But how to suppress him? The problem of suppression. The elder clenched his fist. Fang Yuan had not broken any rules, leaving no opportunity to punish him. The boy's mastery of the learning hall's regulations made him untouchable. I had hoped the sparring instructor could manage him, but that plan has clearly failed. The elder admitted to himself. It seems the only way to curb Fang Yuan's influence is to wait for the others to surpass him. The elder's thoughts turned to the three students most likely to rise above Fang Yuan: Gu Fang Zheng, Gu Cheng, and Gu Mo Bei. All three came from strong backgrounds, with higher aptitudes and ample resources provided by their families. One was a grade A talent, while the other two were grade B, far above Fang Yuan in potential. It was only a matter of time before they advanced to mid-stage rank 1 and gained the strength to challenge him. They are the seeds of hope for this generation, the elder thought, his gaze falling on the sparring ground. The emerging circles. Below, the students had unconsciously divided themselves into three groups. The first surrounded Cheng, who stood confidently with his arms crossed, a loyal band of followers hanging on his every word. The second gathered around Fang Zheng, the clan leader's nephew, who radiated natural charisma. The third circled Mo Bei, who had recovered from his injuries and now stood pale but resolute, his companions offering words of encouragement. These factions are forming faster than expected, the elder noted with satisfaction. The competition among them will temper their skills and leadership abilities. In the world of GU masters, competition was not only inevitable but necessary. It ensured the strongest emerged as leaders, while the weaker ones found their roles as supporters. To the elder, these rivalries were essential for the clan's future hierarchy. But one student remained conspicuously absent from these circles: Fang Yuan. An isolated figure, Fang Yuan stood apart, his hands clasped behind his back, his gaze indifferent to the heated battles taking place. He did not participate in the camaraderie or politics of the other students. He was an island, self-sufficient and unyielding. He refuses to integrate with the others. The elder mused. He sees no value in companionship or alliances. For him, people are tools, disposable once their purpose is served. This isolation frustrated the elder. Fang Yuan's unwillingness to form bonds meant the clan had little leverage over him. Without ties of friendship or loyalty, how could they ensure his dedication to the clan? But the elder was not without hope. There are many ways to bring even the most defiant into the fold. He thought, in time, he will need resources, recognition, and power. All of these flow through the clan's systems. He will compete for ranks, seek rewards, and rely on our structure. Slowly but surely, the bonds of responsibility and ambition will tie him to us. The elder's lips curled into a faint smile. The clan's system was a well-oiled machine, designed to shape its members into loyal, productive cogs. Even a lone wolf like Fang Yuan could not escape its reach forever. The clan's methodical control. Over the years, the Gu clan had perfected its methods of control. From the moment a child was born, they were taught that the clan was paramount. This ideology was reinforced through morality lessons, the cultivation of familial bonds, and a constant stream of material rewards for good behavior. Leadership roles, no matter how small, became stepping stones within the clan's hierarchy. A student who became a group leader today would grow into a clan elder tomorrow. The promise of power and the fear of exclusion were enough to bind even the most rebellious souls. No one escapes the system, the elder thought, not even Fang Yuan. It's only a matter of time before he too becomes a piece on the board. For now, Fang Yuan stood alone, surrounded by an invisible barrier of his own making. But the elder watched him intently. confident that the boy's isolation would not last forever. In the end, the elder concluded, the clan always wins. Night descended quietly over the village. The crescent moon hung like a silver disk in the sky, framed by scattered stars twinkling faintly around it. In the courtyard, Gu Mo Bei stood alone, gazing at the moon with bright, determined eyes. The events of the day played through his mind, but his spirit remained unbroken. Little brother, I heard you were injured today. A gentle voice interrupted his thoughts. It was his older sister, Gu Mo Yan, stepping into the courtyard. Tisk, sister, Mo Bei said with a wry smile as he turned to face her. Are you worried that coughing up blood might leave me scarred for life? Mo Yan studied her younger brother's expression, her concern easing at the sight of his smile. Of course not, she replied, feigning nonchalance. I know my little brother well. You have the indomitable spirit of a future leader. A minor setback like this won't break you. Haha, I knew you were the one who loved me most. Mo Bei joked, his laughter filling the courtyard. But his expression turned serious as he said, Sister, though I lost again today, I discovered something. When we fought, I heard Fang Yuan breathing heavily. Before, he always defeated me effortlessly. But today, he showed weakness. He's not as invincible as everyone thinks. One day, I will defeat him, fair and square. Mo Yan smiled and gently ruffled his hair. That's the fighting spirit of a true Mo. But for now, you must rest and recover. You can't rush into training while still nursing internal injuries. Sister, I'm not a child anymore. Mo Bei grumbled, brushing her hand away. Don't worry about me. I already have a plan. I'll use these days of rest to cultivate. Breaking through to the mid-stage. Once I secure a leadership position, I'll prove to Fang Yuan, and everyone else, that true strength lies in one's aptitude. In the Zich family's secret chamber. In a dimly lit chamber of the Zich family, Cheng sat cross-legged on a meditation mat. His grandfather, Zich Lian, sitting opposite him, a solitary flame flickered on the stone wall, casting dancing shadows across their faces. Zich Lian extended a large, weathered hand, pressing his palm gently against Cheng's abdomen. Threads of silvery primeval essence flowed from the elder into his grandson, circulating within Cheng's aperture. Cheng focused entirely on his inner world, suppressing the turbulence in his primeval sea. For most Gu masters, external essence was foreign and could cause their natural energies to resist, leading to dangerous disruptions within the aperture. Yet Cheng concentrated with all his might, preventing any backlash. After a long while, Zich Lian withdrew his hand, exhaling heavily. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he looked at Cheng with concern. This method is risky, but it's the only way for you to catch up. With your aptitude, breaking through to the mid-stage would take far too long otherwise. Cheng nodded solemnly. Thank you, grandfather. I understand the risks, but I'm willing to sacrifice for the Zich family's future. Zich Lian's weathered face softened as he smiled, stroking his beard. Good, good. That determination is what makes you worthy. Remember, there is still hope. If we can acquire a clear water Gu, it may cleanse the lingering impurities in your aperture and reverse the damage. Until then, I'll do whatever it takes. Cheng vowed, his resolve unshakable. Gu Fang Zheng's quiet confidence. Meanwhile, Gu Fang Zheng sat on his bed, holding a piece of primeval stone in each hand. His eyes were closed, and his breathing steady. Inside his aperture, his primeval sea churned with vibrant energy, washing against the walls of his aperture like gentle waves. With his A-grade aptitude, his cultivation speed far surpassed that of his peers. As dawn approached, he released a long breath and opened his eyes. The faint morning light filtered through the bamboo leaves outside his window. I'm so close to breaking through, he murmured, watching the last fragments of his primeval stones crumble into dust. With just a few more days, I'll surpass him. Fang Yuan, you won't stand in my way for much longer. Fang Yuan's breakthrough. Back in the dormitory, Fang Yuan sat cross-legged on his bed, his hands clasped tightly together as he meditated. His breathing was calm but deep, and his mind was entirely focused on his aperture. Within him, his primeval sea churned with green waves, the result of his liquor worm's refinement. The middle stage primeval essence surged like an unrelenting tide, crashing against the walls of his aperture. One final push, Fang Yuan thought. He concentrated, urging the waves to grow stronger. The impact against the aperture walls intensified, sending ripples through the structure. Finally, with a sharp mental command, the primeval sea surged forward, its waves crashing into the walls in a relentless assault. The white membrane of his aperture began to ripple, then glowed with a radiant light before transforming into a new, liquid-like barrier, a sign of his advancement. Mid-stage achieved, Fang Yuan whispered, opening his eyes. The first rays of sunlight spilled through the window, signaling the start of a new day. An unexpected summons. Bang! The door to Fang Yuan's dormitory flew open, slamming against the wall with a deafening crash. Two guards stepped inside, their faces stern. Fang Yuan, one of them barked, "You've been skipping classes without permission. The learning hall elder demands your presence. Come with us immediately." Fang Yuan's eyes narrowed, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. He rose to his feet slowly, his movements deliberate. "Lead the way," he said calmly, his tone devoid of fear.